want to talk about my recent marathon. I started running 10 years ago and I've done a few marathons sub 5, quite a few actually, so that I could qualify for Comrades and Oceans. But I'd always had this belief that I was a back of the packer, slow runner, that kind of thing, and I didn't realise how entrenched that belief had come until recently, where I had to qualify once again for Oceans and Comrades. I have not run a marathon sub 5 hours since the end of 2014 when I did Caps of Whip, and I did it then with 10 minutes to spare. The reason why I've been able to enter for Comrades before is because I always qualified on the longer distance, because 50k's gives me six and a half hours, 52k's. So I would find that I was able to do that and not be faster over the 5 hours. To cut a long story short, ended up entering for Maritzburg because now I realised in my head last year that if I don't do sub 5 marathons, it means that Comrades gets harder, and Comrades being such a long race, I have to dig deeper for the reserves of getting through the distance if I have this belief that I'm too slow. And this is what happened in my last Comrades in 2015. I kept thinking I'm too slow, and I wasn't even. I was still way ahead with my friend and still running comfortably, but underneath it I was thinking, well, I'm not going to make it, so I may as well stop. I didn't think it was a problem. It just became part of my belief system. And then also the other validating reasons, like I'm too old, I'm older than I was when I first started, and all that kind of excuses started to crop up as part of my body's way of protecting me. So after my first 32 this year, which was a bit of a disaster, but while I was doing it, I had this notion that I'm too slow, and then what am I doing? And maybe I'll sell my Oceans. I started thinking to myself, what if I just give it a good try? What if I just go and really give it my best shot instead of the excuses? This was quite a new way of thought, but I finished that 32 in a very slow, sluggish time of about 4 hours and 10-12 minutes. I wasn't sure. I was just glad for the time in the leg. PS Tech is an unusual percussive therapy using a little bit of self-hypnosis as well as the physical element. I tend to use it mostly on myself. I don't really use it on my clients as such, but I tend to avoid using it as well because it's usually quite effective. My friend had been using it very constructively, so I decided, okay, this is the time, enough with the excuses, let me see if I can clear this belief. So the method is very short. It's like a 12-minute audio, maybe a 15-minute audio, and I have to write a sentence of whatever negative belief it is that I'm trying to remove. So my sentence went something like, I am a slow runner and I can't run sub 5 marathons. And that was true. That was my truth. It didn't have any feeling. There was no resonance. It was just that's what is the current state of my affairs. So I did the click track and I worked on it. And after I'd finished it, I thought, well, that's unusual because something feels different. But it was one of those wordless things that I couldn't actually put into words how I felt. But I thought, okay, well, the weekend's coming. The next day I woke up and I was still feeling clear, but I realized that my mindset changed into one of not I'm going to see, it's I'm going to do this. And this was one of the fundamental things that happened to me in the previous year's race. So on Saturday we get in the car and off we go, and there's 3 of us, Debbie, myself and Marlene, and we all needed to qualify for the race. Marlene had done a marathon a couple of weeks previously and come in a little bit over 5 hours, so the pressure was on for the 3 of us to actually get in our qualifying time, sub 5, so that we could go down to Oceans and run the Oceans Marathon. The last date for the qualifying marathon is this coming weekend, so the pressure was on a little bit, and I didn't really feel like doing marathons week to week. I was not even going with that fatalistic mentality, which was strange for me. So Sunday morning comes, we get up bright and early, 3 o'clock, and I'm standing there and I'm still feeling remarkably mind clear, like strong. No, oh, I'm too slow, I'm not going to do this. No panic, no worry. I just, okay, let's go. And the weather was perfect because it was nice and cool as opposed to the humidity of the day before, and a few thousand of us all set off at 5:30 in the morning, which was also quite refreshing to start early. So it meant that if it had been hot, we'd have a half an hour earlier than in Joburg races, which usually start at 6. start running, and I'm feeling fine. I'm taking all my nutrition as I do, and it comes to like the end of the first hour, and I realize I'm on target. Debbie's running with me, and Marlene had by this stage just dropped back, so we thought maybe she would stop for the loo or something, but she never seemed to catch us again. Debbie then stopped for a pit stop or a bathroom stop, and I just carried on running, and I was feeling really good. We were walking at the water points, but the route was actually very mild. There was not too many extreme hills, so to speak, so it was quite enjoyable. It was also very refreshing to run in a different area there was all these different clubs and different coloured vests, and the conversations were different, and there was many spectators. That's the one thing about the races in the KZN, it seems, is that everybody seems to support runners. We do the first lap, and I'm on very comfortable on target. It was one of my best 21s of time. It was like sitting at 2:15, 2 hours and 15. So I knew I had a little bit of money in the bag, but also a little bit of time in the bag, but also knew I couldn't dilly-dally. I still expected it to come at about 23 Ks. This hit the wall, and it didn't. So I carried on running, kept on trying to be clever with our walking. Debbie still said I was wasting time, and I may have to look at that and listen to her. And needless to say, we got to about 40 kilometres, and I knew for sure it was definitely in the bag. And my blood pressure, which is a niggle I've been worried with this last few longer races that I've been doing, seemed to take effect, but managed it okay. And we walked a little bit more than we maybe could have in the last 2 Ks, but it was fine. I knew I had this qualification under the bag. So we turned the corner for the last home stretch, and there's thousands of people, which is always awesome. And I was full of smiles, because like, this is real. This is a reality. I have done this, and I have done it easily. As in, yes, it's still effort, it's still 42 Ks, but that mental slug of, oh, why am I doing it? What am I doing this for? Maybe I should stop. Why am I running? Maybe I should just stick to walking. All the usual negative drivel that goes on in my head didn't happen. We crossed the line at 4:49, and I really felt good. Sadly, Marlene didn't actually make it. I think she needs to do some of the mental stuff that I've done. But in the meantime, I must say I was super impressed with myself and mighty shocked. So on Monday morning, when we're back home and I get up and everybody's going, you should be super proud, I'm still thinking, did that really happen? Was I really able to clean that mental thinking up that well, that I could do that so easily and effortlessly? And I must say my recovery is quite good. So to cut a long story short, although that was quite a long story, it seemed to work. And if you're interested, you can click on Tim Fazakali. He's got a very unusual name. His Mind Power stuff is very cool. The one that I used specifically was a bought one. I will give that as well, but for the most part, the first stuff is his free stuff, and it's a free download, so you can have a look on the link below and see for yourself and give it a try and see if you can train your brain.